Hello and welcome to the 25th day of January 2021. My name is Kurt and this is my Good Life Meditation. The Good Life Meditation is something that I do each and every day, the very first thing in the morning, to remind myself of my life objectives and principles and to see how I did applying these yesterday to the things that happened throughout the day and how the result was with my sleep, and then to plan out the coming day. So let's begin with a review of yesterday. It was a Monday. It was a very momentous day. 6 weeks into my new job, and yesterday was the day I sent out an important message to the organization leadership, letting them know about a new program that we're starting. And I think that was pretty good to have gone from zero to leadership organization announcement with an upcoming our new program beginning in basically going live in about 20 days, less than that. So it's 25th. Yeah, about 20 days. So I'm pleased with that. I'm pleased with the unfolding of the last 6 weeks. I think I did well in keeping with my objectives of making the good use of time. Although yesterday I didn't do as good in terms of the actual moments of the day. Although maybe that's in part because I was using my time in a different way. Yesterday was less about the grinding out of deliverables and more about the cogitation and planning of things. But in the end, it worked out to be a good day, and no major challenges, just deliverables, a day of deliverables. And then I slept really well. I was really tired. Man, I was tired. And I said I could sleep more. And I woke up in the middle of the night with a backache, which is strange. I usually don't get aches and pain, and they've got it now. Here come the dogs. And Ollie's doing much better. I think he's fully recovered. Here come the boys. So let's get started on the Good Life Meditation. Hi, Ollie. How you feeling? Good to see you up. Okay. My 7 objectives. The first of these is to be always ready to die. Number 2 is to make good and effective use of my time. Number 3 is to develop and develop and maintain good and sound life principles. Then comes the cultivation of good emotional reactions, followed by the performance of good actions. Well, speaking of that, yesterday I did something good. I don't need to give any details, but I did something good. It's interesting how that has immediate rewards. Then comes the recognition of true limits and true opportunity. And then the last objective is to just do one thing at a time and to do that thing slowly. Okay, now my 30 principles. Principle number 1 is war. To always be fighting against the things that I hold are true. I did that in a way yesterday reading Aristotle's ethics, his comments on ethics. I was reading about the nature of virtue, which I'll get to in just a second. But I think I was engaging in my war yesterday, which is a very good use of time. Principle number 2 is reason, and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, and doubt. The third principle is the homunculus, the idea of a little mortal inside my head that substitutes for the concept of a soul. It's different because it's not eternal. because I don't think we have any eternal soul. I think we just have a consciousness that exists now, and as long as we're alive. Next comes the Anchorhold, the idea of a little rock sticking out of a sea. That's where you and I reside, each on our own separate rock, never touching, just signaling across the water. Next comes the home of good and evil, the idea that right and wrong are just mere opinions that we hold, that there is no good and bad etched in the universe anywhere. The universe is indifferent. In fact, it's beyond indifference. I can't think of a good word to describe it. Next comes the principle of purpose. And the three purposes in my worldview are biology, reproducing basically, getting our genes into the next generation. Virtue, where virtue is defined as the improvement of well-being of thinking creatures in particular. And some mission. My mission is my book, Going Alone, available in at Amazon and on my website, goingalone.org. And these objectives and principles are listed and described here. Back on virtue. Aristotle described in, I think it's chapter 14 of his book on ethics. No, chapter 4. Way off. That ethics consisted of, there were three things to consider with regard to ethics, these being emotions. I can't remember the word he used to describe it, but some sort of a motive, not motive, but the vehicle through which the emotions are described are. I'd like to remember. What did he call it? I could imagine him 2,300, 2,400 years ago struggling to come up with a Greek word to describe this. Faculties, he called it faculties. Faculties are our innate way of expressing how if some people have their faculties are the quiet person. Some of their more have greater felicity and ability to communicate. And then the last thing he described were moral states. So emotions, faculties, and moral states. Emotions, faculties, and moral states. Emotions are what they are, anger, joy, etc. Faculties are our ability to convey those, or our ability to restrain the conveying of them. And then the moral states are what we add, the value add in terms of do we load it with some sort of a weight, either positive or negative, as we spew our emotion into the world, or share our emotion, or whatever, however we do it through that faculty. And he described that neither emotions nor faculties contain the morals. They are simply what they are. They are in our nature, but it is our moral state that wherein virtue resides. Very interesting. I would never have thought to have unfolded the concept of virtue at that layer, that level. No wonder he is who he is. So I want to be a virtuous human being, insofar as I'm conveying that my moral state is well front loaded, well stocked. Yeah. That I'm flavoring my emotions with kind of a positive, not necessarily positive in terms of upbeat or optimistic, but positive in terms of improving element. I see it. I think I see it. The next principle is atomic principle. Everything is bits and pieces, atoms and molecules. Then comes the principle of nature. And all that implies about the atoms and molecules, there's a lot of layered into that. Then comes the principle of nature. Everything has some particular nature, including us. Then comes the pirate ride, the suggestion that free will is an illusion. Then comes maturity, and the sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude. After that is the social principle. We need each other. We're social creatures. Then after social principle is public speaking. To choose our words well. I'm thinking about adding a sub-principle here of felicity. Felicity is the ability to use words well to convey our meaning. I wonder if felicity is something we can learn. I'm sure it is, through practice, right? Example and practice, modeling. And 2, not gossip. Then comes the Feast of Offal. Hey, I sometimes forget that one. I got it today. What happens when we are not felicitous? We're not prudent with our words, and we are not careful in what we say, but let our emotions spew out. You understand, how does that come back to the ethics? Emotions and the, what do you call it? The faculties. The faculties are allowed to release, or poorly managed faculties. Then comes temperance is next. And the sub-principles of suffering, simplicity, and apathy. And then after that, I'm going too fast. Suffering, because we suffer when we deny ourselves what we want. And temperance is the denial of what we want in order to further well-being. And a simple life is a temperate life. I'm just throwing these out rote, not really thinking them. Kind of, my mind is on the bigger picture somehow. It's funny how you kind of stepping back in the mind and looking at the big tapestry of things. Well, an under process simply goes through the recitation of the Good Life Creed. So I'll leave temperance there. Next comes the horror show. Life is a horror show, is it not? Chock full of terrible things. And I just simply want to remember that. Keep that in mind. There's a part of the mission is to relieve that and create circumstances that help to make the world a better place, less suffering, less horror. The next principle is called that which must be borne. And the things that we have to bear are the responsibilities that we carry, and the fact of the horror show, to not turn away, but to, as much as we can, address it, face it and address it. Okay, so that was that, and next comes the best seat in the house. No distraction. We distract ourselves with work and play and hobbies and everything, TV, drinking, talking, gossip, all this stuff is a distraction, so we don't have to see the next principle, the great indifference, which is the awful emptiness of the universe, the fact that the universe's incapability of even giving a damn. So next comes the best seat in the house. Do not want to be anyone else, or be anything else, or be doing anything else. I said it wrong, but you get the idea. But to be just all right with my circumstance now and who I am and what I'm doing, all the while making improvements. Next comes the Path of Wildness, which is my trick that I use to move forward in life, to get forward in life, to break the status quo, which sometimes can be kind of grow on us. Sometimes it's okay to have that status quo, and it's okay to life to be growing on us. But sometimes we would desire a change. The Path of Wildness is the way to break that inertia, to collect facts, make a decision, and lean in with the gut when necessary. Next comes the risk of avoiding risk. There is the deep level and the surface level risks of life. It's good to recognize what those are and to attempt to address the deep stuff in addition to the surface level stuff. The surface level being the practical things of education, spouse, family, home, retirement, etc. The deep one being the searching after the experiences that we want in the life that we want to live and the mark that we want to leave. Next comes sin and damnation. There are 7 sins in my worldview. These are falsity, accepting truth, accepting untrue things, credulity, which is an overeagerness to believe, or falsity, is being false. Credulity, credulity is an overeagerness to believe, accepting false things. I said it wrong. Hope, which is a do nothing state of mind. Just wishful thinking. I wish it would happen. It's much better to couple that with some action. Faith, which is believing something on the grounds that believing the belief itself is evidence that it's true. Superstition, category of belief, practically recognized as nonsense by the term we use to describe it. Authority, belief because someone in a state of power or high office or wearing a funny costume says something is true. Dogma, believing something because it's part of our grand old tradition and it's in the big book. And that's it. Next is complete oblivion, the suggestion that when we die, there will be nothing left. We will never see our loved ones again. We will never have a chance to have any reunion with them, and there will be no final justice because there is no afterlife and there's no justice giver. So seek after those things in the here and now while we can. Reunion, reconciliation, and justice through legal sanctioned means, of course, the latter, justice. Next, and damnation is that we live in a I got backwards. Damnation part of sin and damnation, which is the previous principle. The damnation part is that we're damned when we believe things that aren't true. And then I talked about complete oblivion. Then the great life adventure is next. That's where we have one or more experiences in life that really become the centerpiece of who we are. I recommend that fishing for those in our youth, namely in the decade of the 20s, and then those can become part of who we are as we go forward in life. Season of philosophy. That's a time of life to record what we've learned along the way. There's something called the muse, which is just the inspiration that arises through our brain chemistry, our thought processes. When the muse speaks, when it starts whispering the words or the images in your mind, better get them down, because they have a way of floating away and never coming back. Or if the muse comes back, she may say the same words, but they'll be different. And probably there'll be new words altogether. Next comes the bullseye aim. The attempt to strike for the mark and the target, but we usually miss. That's all right. The uphill climb, steady climb in life, up, 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 turning around from time to time to see the improving view as we get higher into the clouds. Colder up there though, but what a journey. Arena and utility is next. Life is an arena where we get a chance to pursue our objectives with the aid of our principles, which dangle like tools on a tool belt at our side, virtually, of course. Just saw somebody commented something. I should really learn to restrain that, to not look at things when they pop through on the screen. That's not a good use of time. And it's not one thing slowly. It's two things poorly. because I didn't read it well, and I lost my stride. But that's okay. I only have 2 principles left. The next one is nothing is enough. Just a reminder that less is often so much better, so much more even. And then the last principle is the principle of fun. To have a good time, to enjoy this life while the time is here. This is something I really need to work on. I've never been good at that. I'm a good worker, but I'm not a good player. I'm no player at all. I need to learn to do that, and that's okay if not. I like the life of inquiry that I'm living, and sometimes maybe it's not fun, but it's interesting. Like reading Aristotle is not necessarily fun, but it's damn interesting. It's a good use of time. So maybe I need to think about that a little bit. Fun is just one artifact, one type of expression of a good use of time. Good use of time doesn't necessarily have to mean that we're laughing and eating popcorn. It can also mean that we're being astonished and our face is squinched up, our eyebrows are squinched over our heads because we're trying to puzzle something out. I need to dig deeper on this principle to understand it better. Okay, that's my good life meditation. Let's plan for the coming day. Yesterday was a big day, so I had that announcement. So today I need to work a little bit more on the recording of the things that are going to come for the upcoming training classes that I'm going to begin to deliver. And I have 2 things. Should I work on the deeper dive on resource and cost plans, or should I actually try to make the second lesson? I'll do it that way. I'm going to spend the morning working on resource and cost plans, understanding them, and then I'm going to make a recording in the afternoon. That's what I'm going to do. So I'll do. So why not do both? That's my good life for today. I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe.